Hi everybody! Welcome to another month of Wild Suncatchers. For January, we're going to be learning about the balsam fir tree. My name is Lander and I'm the outreach coordinator for Blue Hill Heritage Trust. And this is a series that is co-hosted by Blue Hill Public Library and Blue Hill Heritage Trust. So I'm here today at the Kingdom Wood Conservation Area, and this is the nature loop. And I'm here with this nice balsam tree. Balsam tree's scientific name is Abies balsamea, or balsamea, if you like to pronounce it. And balsam and balsamea come from the word balm. And balm, as you probably know, means to soothe or heal or restore. And it's a really interesting way to think about the balsam fir tree. I think oftentimes we only associate it with Christmas or with wreath making or balsam pillows. It's also one of the most abundant tree in the state of Maine. It's not the state tree, which is the white pine, but it's the most abundant. But the balsam fir also has many healing properties. And I was reading that the essential oils in the needles, what make it smell so good and what we like about it so much, can be picked up by the wind as the wind or the breeze blows through the forest, and it can disperse those essential oil molecules into the air. And so when you're out taking your walk through the woods and breathing in those essential oils, it can kind of make it a very therapeutic walk in the woods. So I love to think of all the gifts that the trees give us, and the breath, the oxygen is one of them, and then also these healing oils sometimes that come out of the needles as well. The balsam fir is an amazing tree, and it provides shelter and food for many of the animals that live here in Maine. Balsam fir often grows in pretty dense thickets, and especially in the winter, it provides shelter to moose. Sometimes you'll see a moose and its calf kind of hunkering down in there where the snow doesn't accumulate as much. Deer will shelter there, rabbits, grouse, and other birds. It's also a food source. Moose love to eat the green needles, especially the darker green ones. Those are even more packed with nutrients. And they're kind of heavier, and they give the moose a little bit more food than a twig that might be from a deciduous tree that doesn't have any foliage left on it. The needles and the balsam tips, as well as the buds, are eaten by spruce and ruffed grouse. And this tree actually is about 5 to 10% of their diet for the fall and the winter, which is pretty significant. And then in the springtime, the balsam fir has both male and female cones, and the male has the pollen cones, which are pretty small, and sometimes you'll see them more once they fall to the ground. They're like these little brown kind of delicate things, and then there will be the female cones as well. But red squirrels, I guess, find the male cones that have the pollen in them to be a delicacy and will eat them in the springtime. Something I learned recently, and I don't know if any of you have seen this phenomenon before. They grow on balsam trees. They also can be found on blueberry bushes and probably other plants, but it's something called witch's brooms, and it's caused by a fungus that kind of starts up on the branch and grows these twigs that kind of form this really thick, almost vase shape or like nest shape. And I was reading recently that the fisher cat likes to make its nest in those witch's brooms. So that's something I'm going to keep an eye out for when I'm out walking next. So I think we're now going to come and take a look at the bark of the balsam fir. The bark is relatively smooth compared to many of our other evergreen trees here in Maine, except for the fact that it has something called bark blisters. I call them sap bubbles, but in fact, I think most people call them bark blisters, and they're filled with pitch. They are a protective mechanism for the tree. So if a tree gets wounded, these sap bubbles and the pitch will kind of help heal that wound over and close it up and help it regrow. The sap bubbles also prevent boring insects from getting much further than the outer layer of bark because the sap kind of traps them. And it's interesting to note that I'm not sure if it still happens, but it definitely happened in the past. Microscopic specimens were preserved in the balsam pitch because it's a great preservative and it just like holds those organisms and you can see them, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to pop one of these so you can take a look. It's really, really fun to pop the bubbles. And especially if you're a kid, you're probably going to want to do this over and over and over again. I definitely did as a child. And one tip, if you decide to go popping sap bubbles for a project or to see what happens, your fingers get very sticky. And so soap and water actually don't wash the pitch off. You have to use some sort of grease like lard or butter or something like that you might have in your kitchen. All right, so here is a beautiful sap bubble. I'm going to pop this one. And it has this beautiful kind of clear yellowish pitch that comes out of it. And it smells so good. It brings me right back to my childhood of popping sap bubbles. This pitch, you can also, if you're trying to start a fire on a rainy day, and you have some tinder, like some pine needles or something that are like a little bit wet, you can smear some of this pitch on those needles and it will help you start the fire, which is pretty cool. Let's see, what else did I want to tell you about this? Oh, so the pitch is like a protective mechanism for the tree, and it's healing for the tree, as I said. And it also is antiseptic for humans as well, and it also has many healing properties. And it's been used to help cure wounds or help kind of like stick cuts back together, kind of glue them back together. It's not a topic that I know a whole lot about, but if you're interested, I would definitely look into it because there is this tree has been a healing agent for humans for thousands and thousands of years. So I think now we're going to talk about a few crafts that you can do with the balsam fir. And I'm going to start out showing you something that is not our like craft for the day, but is something that I used to make as a child. And it kind of continues our discussion of the pitch as well. So, believe it or not, these mud balls are about 25 years old. They were one of my favorite things to make as a child. And they have, I think, lasted so long because I would go out and cover them with pitch. You can see these dark spots, and it would almost make them water resistant. And that's another thing about the balsam pitch, which is pretty cool, and I think has been used in different cultural traditions to like seal something or make it waterproof. In those kits, you will receive a couple of little, these are muslin tea bags to make a balsam needle sachet. So it's like a balsam pillow, but you don't need a needle and thread. You don't have to sew it. You can just peel the needles. I'll just demonstrate on one of these branches. So you might go out and collect some balsam boughs. And if you've never done it before, you can pull the needles back like this and put them in a bowl and save them. And get a little stash before you fill your sachet. Or you can take it and just kind of like pull them off like this. It's really fun. It's a wonderful thing to like do in the evening if you're sitting around, and it smells so delicious. And these sachets you can draw on. So you could take like a marker and you could write your name or write the balsam tree or draw a little picture to kind of make it your own creation. Another thing that will be in your kit is a balsam wood cookie, along with some string. And you can decide how you want to decorate your balsam wood cookie. You can paint on them, you can use marker or draw on them. If you have a stamp and ink pad, you could use that. This is wood burned. If you have like fancy equipment like that, you could try that. You could also just like use it as a coaster on your table to put cups. You can get super creative, so use your imagination or check out Pinterest for ideas. Let's see, I think that might be all. So feel free to share photos of your creations with Claire or with myself. We'd love to see what you end up doing and learning about the balsam fir. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Wild Suncatchers. I'm Claire, the Youth Services Librarian at the Blue Hill Library, and I'm just here to teach you a quick song today and tell you about a book that I really love for tree identification. So the song goes to the tune of Auld Lang Syne, which maybe you know, and it's supposed to help you be able to identify different trees. So it goes like this. Firs are flat and friendly, and pines they come in packets. And if you fall into a spruce, I hope that you can hack it. So hopefully that will help you when you're out looking at the different needles, and it might never get out of your head. I find that lately I've just been singing it softly to myself as I walk in the forest. So, have fun. And this book that I wanted to share with you is actually one we don't have at the library, but it's my own copy, Forest Trees of Maine. And it is such a great book. You're able to open it like this. It's on a ring. So when you're out looking, you can just have it open. It's very convenient. And so I opened to the section on balsam fir, and there's just this is what it looks like. Such great information, great photos to help you find and identify what you're looking at or what you're looking for. And a forester friend of mine gave me this copy. So, and she said it was the best book for identifying trees in Maine. So I highly recommend it. And I hope that you'll join us for next month. We will be discussing a plant of sorts, but this time it'll be in the ocean. So hope you'll join us. Keep your eye on the library calendar for updates on when and where and how to join us for that. So have a wonderful time creating these fun balsam crafts, and thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time.